Well, hello, this is your host, Eric, your Admiral in the Army of Gmodism. And you are probably a commissioned officer, or maybe are thinking about becoming a commissioned officer, or perhaps you're a curious enlisted, or perhaps you're the enemy faction doing industrial espionage. In any case, we will be diving into the constructs, the different vehicles that is right now available in the package of the downloadable files for all the commissioned officers. By the way, a lot of the turrets and a lot of the files are available on my Steam workshop page for public download. Of course, when it comes to turrets and prefabs, they are not sorted in any nice folder structure or anything like that. That's if you want to save them or copy them from, stuff, vehicles and stuff like that. That's possible too. Like, of course, the Gimla has many of the diff guns, turrets and stuff like that, of course. But of course, that you can do if you can't or don't want to support the channel. But if you do, I'll give you a very neat and easy way to access all the files and also all of the files, which is a bonus. Here it is basically how it works. Maybe I build on a thing, and now this is obviously not done. But when this is done, it's gonna be put in a folder, right? And whenever I'm going to finish a thing, it's put in one of the folders here. Now, most of the things will be in the fleets and forces, but we of course also have the platforms. We can check the platforms a little bit too. So here is the standard platform. This is for testing and stuff, and that's of course available on the workshop for public download. Now, it can't be that high up in the air, but anyways. We have different platforms. We have a civs testing platform, which is a little bit rudimentary setup here, just testing some different shells. Some of the platforms are actually my personal tests. So here we have, for example, the 3x armor switcher test. And in this thing, one can select the different buttons, G, H, and J, and then fire a shell on each of them to then determine the penetrative capability of that particular shell at that particular gauge. Pretty nice, isn't it? Right. Then we got, here we have the proper APS tester. That's of course for testing really big APS guns. Yeah. And here we have the battleship armor simulator. So this is just the thickest armor you could imagine. And it has one of these. So we can make this an enemy, which means that we can target this with a weapon on another platform and shoot at it. So if we, for example, load in, I don't know, some test. Now, that's not gonna work very well, is it? But here we have the cram test. And this cram test tests cram cannons. Makes a lot of sense. And by the way, when you test cram and APS, you can reload them instantly by going into the Q menu. Very nice. We also, of course, got laser test. So here we can connect up different modules and explore how different lasers work and how they burn. So the only thing we do here is we just we attach them in whatever pattern, change them up. This is just some example ones. And then we have a weird laser which is both continuous and then pulsing. Pretty neat. Now we spawn this too high up in the air. But we do have a missile testing platform too. So we can test some missiles. Now this is of course testing kinetic missiles mostly and charge head missiles. You can test other missiles as well, but it's most useful to perform tests with kinetic missiles and shape charge missiles, because that can be a little bit difficult otherwise. And you just connect them up by a block here. Very simple like this. And yeah. We of course need to have a plasma test as well. So here we can have different connecting canals. We can connect up like this. And yeah, we got some different lenses to switch in between too. I need to stop spawning things too high up in the air. And I made them go super slow so you can really see the effects of the plasma here. Pretty neat, I think. This is a charge plasma setup. And this is a generator setup. So that's gonna be... And you can of course go in here and just check the stats so you can see how much they cost to compare them and stuff. By the way, this weird pattern is like the best pattern for charge plasma. Then we have a turret construction platform. And here we have the different templates, T1, T3. And basically, the space around the thing on the text is how it needs to look. So if you go into sub-objects, you have them here. You can see this, we have the T7, and this have the, like this. So these are the different like rings. Anyways, all the commissioned officers have of course access to like, what is it here? Turret wells. And here we have the different turret wells, like the exterior. So for example, for T13, here is like the deck portion you'll need to cover around this. But if you build onto this T13, this green line here, this turret will not be too big to clash into the whole of the template. And many of the templates are of course available under sub-objects. You see them here. I'll just made a lot of like deck armor and armor segment and stuff like that, which can be like stackable and stuff. But again, the templates we'll look at in another video. Anyways, here we can build inside of this to make turrets that are fitting, and we can also test them against this tall target. Since many turrets can be pretty tall, it can be a good idea to have a tall target to practice towards. This is a weird A/B test. If you want to test two turrets beside each other to test the performance, well, we can do that here. Do you recognize these from some videos? You probably should. We got some help from a commissioned officer, by the way, making a beautiful little tester platform, which has even more, 7 different armor slabs to test against. So that can be used too. Very nice indeed. Thanks for that addition. By the way, I click T to fire from all of the platforms. I think it says in the setting on the original platform, anyways, near the... Anyways, you just click the T as in Thor, and you'll fire. Very nice. Then we have this thing, GI structural platform. GI, by the way, is Gmodism Industries. Anyways, here is a structural platform which can be spawned down close to the spawn. Yeah, here we are. It's kind of built for the deepness of the spawn. So it's above water, close to the spawn. If you just plonk this down, you will have a platform that has no materials and no engine. This can be useful if you want to build engines, see how much they require, how much they take, because the other platforms are of course taking some energy each second, and they are also producing a lot with the steam engines. This is like a clean slate to test engines and stuff without bobbing about on a raft, which is horrible. And we're adding new platforms whenever they come up, of course. Anyways, most of the things are in Army of Gmodism, Fleets and Forces. Perhaps we will not be going through each design in detail today. That will take a little too long time. Anyways, first chapter, Wasteland Domination Force, is of course the in construction force to tackle the Ashes of the Empire is the plan. Now I don't know the volume restrictions. This is a design submitted before by MIA Captain Y, and I imagine it will have a place there. Now I don't know the volume restrictions, so we'll see. The biggest one is the second chapter, Frontier Fleet, of course. We have so many designs here, like the Pigeon Utility by Scuvimation, and my barbecue bomber pigeon version here. Pretty nice. And here you can see we even have this thing for Lieutenant Asteria, the patrol diver. So this is really funny, or actually I think Lieutenant Asteria may be demoted, or perhaps MIA. But in any case, this is also available on the workshop, but I do think that I haven't updated the workshop versions decals, and I added some deco to this thing as well. So in my private files that I share to all the commissioned officers, of course, all of the most updated versions are available. This is a patrol flygfisk diver. It flies and then dives. Very cool. We have so many things here. We have my only attack submarine so far, which is not deleted. It's not very good. It's okay though. For the cost, it's pretty good. And the flying battleship broadsword class air battleship, of course. Splendid power of the Army of Gmodism. Definitely a worthy companion on the Army of Gmodism second chapter Frontier Fleet. Anyways, remember the Filke challenge? Well, here is my improved Filke. I've improved it a couple of times after doing a video about it, I think. It's a destroyer. It's pretty nice. Oh, and here we have this thing, which is built for a MIA commander. And that is a medium ship, and it does all sorts of things. It's transport, it's salvage, and it's removing fog of war. Pretty utility, but also pretty combat good. This can be sent. This can basically be sent anywhere, I think, doing most tasks. Very handy. And one thing, our lieutenant powered by greed won a previous the Slabman challenge. Was in one of the winning positions there with the AoG Minuteman. I've updated the decals on this thing, and this thing is an absolutely brutal hydrofoil. Very nice indeed. Oh, and here we have a battle cruiser. The Fred battle cruiser is built specifically to deal with the stronghold from the Onyx Watch. So even though the Fred battle cruiser only costs 700k, it can deal with the stronghold thanks to its strong defenses. And oh no, we're gonna have a collision, aren't we? No? Good. Well, in any case, now I feel things are going to lag a little bit. We have a little too many huge things in the air by now. Here we have the other winner of the Slabman challenge, the Stridsjacht. And the Gimle is part of the second chapter Frontier Fleet, as well as the old Draconia and of course the original broadsword. Here we have the Type A attack plane. It's weird because it's A-Type A, and that's because A denotes an attack plane. So yeah, that's the class. That's our naming conventions. And this thing I actually recently, just a few days ago, updated the decorations on. So it's looking all dandy. Damn, that's an unfortunate collision. Ironic too. This is the repair and rearm vessel built for Lieutenant powered by greed. So this thing is a good fast cargo transfer and also repair craft. Unfortunately, we spawned it so it just ran into the enemy and just rammed it. Not the enemy, ourselves, and rammed it. Well, we're gonna clean up. Well, you get the point. Here is the entire fleet. It's not completely done yet. We need to add a few more designs to make the second chapter Frontier Fleet complete. That rhymes. But all of them are here, and I'll keep them updated, and when you download them from the post as a commissioned officer, you get the latest ones there, right? Here is the Constabulary. You recently seen a lot of the Constabulary, I believe, and I'm pretty happy with the Constabulary, especially with the the officer. This is, yes, the officer is a very good jet fighter. I'm happy with it. Look here, we spawned 2 officers and a state trooper to keep the locking on and keep track of the enemy pretty well. It does its air aerobics and then moves forwards, deals some good damage. Anyways, ironically, that got killed real fast. That went so fast. I do suspect they might have collided with each other. Anyways, I repaired this thing. Yeah, I mean, it's the best fighter I made, but maybe it's. I actually do think the officers collided with each other. Probably, I don't know. They should have detection avoidance. Maybe they just got an unlucky shot. I do think they're pretty weak against flak too. Spawned I spawned a bunch of targets here. Now the Geiger has gotten a lot stronger, by the way, since it has upgraded its simple weapons to APS cannons. Anyways, here is the entire Constabulary, the Battle Cruiser, Deputy Sheriff. We have the Sheriff, we have the Officer, we have the State Trooper, and we have the Sheriff with all of the smaller items above, to be specific, 4 jet fighters and 1 observer. So that is the Constabulary. Now, the Holy Metropolis Protector Fleet. That is the folder where I put all the horrendously large things and the really big battleships, like the battleship Afterparty Gimli class. I'll try to put all of them inside of this folder, and I hope to basically, I imagine that the Holy Metropolis would need to be defended by the largest things we have. So, for example, the Super Davidos class super battleship is among those, and this thing is 6 million. It's the largest thing I ever made. It is 400 meters long, so it's pretty strong too. And on the Vehiculum Adventurae, we have my saved adventure crafts. Man, this is gonna be big to spawn. There we go. Yeah, so here we have the AoG Venturesome ongoing little what is it called? Adventure mode survivor thing. And we have the seaplane with a little droid hanging around here. And these are definitely not accessible on Steam Workshop. So, like, some of the ships are downloadable by the Steam Workshop, but most of them are not. And I do keep these updated more than the Workshop ones, of course, because it's so easier for me to do this, and I update the folder to the Patreon kind of monthly, or if I haven't made much, then bi-monthly. Then we of course have for our first admiral in the Army of Gmodism, which is Ryujin, Admiral Ryujin, and here we have the AoG, his Light Protector Federation fleet. And we have attack swarmers, Mark 1 and Mark 2. The Storm, which has some ACB magic. And we of course have this thing, which I tremble to spawn. So, Admiral Wani Ryujin, the first admiral in the Army of Gmodism. This thing lags a lot when in combat. It is a super battleship carrier. And it is a bit of a glass cannon, but it is mostly a carrier. And it has this huge missile turret. And the really funny thing is, of course, the feature to escape with the the entire bridge can escape down into the safety of the center of the ship, which is a really cool feature. Anyways, it looks great. It also lags a bit, but maybe when I get 64 bits of RAM, gigabyte of RAM, we can have some battles. We had battles, of course, on the channel. Check them out, by the way. We had some help recording them, so that's great fun. Well, and more fleets and forces are, of course, being added as they are completed. And the more people who join the Army of Gmodism, of course, the more forces I'll have to build. So if you join the Army of Gmodism commission as a commissioned officer at a certain level from lieutenant, you can request a craft, and that will be definitely put into these folders. So if you want to have an opinion of what I must make, well, join at the appropriate class and request it. I feel some things need to be discovered yourself too, so I won't show anything more of the vehicles. You'll have to do some exploring yourself. So enjoy that. Well, hope you did enjoy checking out all of the vehicles in the fleet. So new for this recent update is basically that I'll sort all of my vehicles in fleets and forces. That's kind of the vibe we're going for, and that's kind of the order that makes most sense. Things are adhering to different fleets and forces. They're always part of a bigger complex. So instead of sorting them into like aircraft and boats and whatever, because that is in their name, we have an official Army of Gmodism classification system, which is pinned in the hashtag Army of Gmodism channel on the Discord, which you can find it there. So that can be handy. I think there is something about that in the files that are downloadable too, actually. I think the ship classification is somewhere there, right? If it's not, I'll put it there. In any case, in the names, if it's like a BB, that's a battleship. If it's a DD, it's a destroyer. If it's a CV, it's a aircraft carrier. If it's A, it's an attack plane. If it's a B, it's a bomber. You know, stuff like that. There are some ship and aircraft classification codes. We've pieced together a nice code, a nice system that I like. And you can just see what type of vehicle it is. So I think it makes a lot of sense to have them in like fleets and forces. So the second chapter, Frontier Fleet, by the way, you might not wonder why it's called that. Why isn't it the first chapter, Frontier Fleet? So the second chapter, Frontier Fleet, is the fleet we're gonna conquer Nether with. The first chapter, Frontier Fleet, was all the signs the entire fleet was lost in action in a previous attempt to conquer the Nether that wasn't very successful. Hopefully the evidence of that is not on YouTube anymore. It might be, but those videos have no watch time, I hope. That was absolutely horrendous, and in like 2017 or whatever. And that was, of course, the first chapter, Frontier Fleet, which is lost and disbanded. So the second chapter, Frontier Fleet, is the thing we're gonna conquer the Nether with. And the other fleet names, you might guess what they are for. And when we had an admiral joining the Army of Gmodism, of course, a fleet folder will appear for that admiral. So Admiral Scubarock's Constabulary is a recent addition. Anyways, I shouldn't be rambling for too long. Hope you enjoyed this video. Check out my links. I'll see you next time. This is your host, Eric, your admiral, signing out.